They've also said they are not going to do any new reconstructions, such as Invasion. Invasion, when they did that, they actually flash animated the entire story, with the exception of the episode that exists. It wasn't badly done, I would have liked to see better grade animation. But they have said, because of time, they're not going to do it. The BBC has said no, they're not going to pay for them, and the restoration team just doesn't have the time. And I'm hoping that means no more cute special effects adjustments in the episodes. There is going to be recolorization of several of the episodes. When the Dalek War set comes out next month on the 2nd, the Planet of the Daleks episode that is in black and white will be restored and color balanced, as will the whole story.
Will it be by those guys that you were talking about last
Yeah, the restoration team does the work for that. They do all the episodes. So it will be as it was when it originally broadcast. They are also working on Mind of Evil, which is only in black and white now. Luckily, they do have fragments of work comes in what the right colors are. They don't have to go against color sheets. And they're also doing, I believe, The Ambassadors of Death. I haven't seen release dates for those yet, but I know that I've seen some of the notes and some of the stuff that's been getting cleared, because this will be one of the years when, instead of seeing 2 or 3 DVDs released like we have in the past, you're probably going to see 10 or 15. Because right now they're already beyond what they were last year. The specials, the 5 specials that were released, will be released on Tuesday as either single episodes or as a box set.
Do you think if the 2013 rolls around, they may actually come out with a Tom Baker box set that's all inclusive, or do you think this is?
That'd be too big.
Yeah.
It would be the Key to Time was an experiment in that when they did the original Key to Time release. Now, why they came back and decided they needed to release it again as single discs, I will never understand. They did a good job the first time. I'm sorry, I really didn't need commentaries on the episodes because the episodes were all in pristine form, and they did no restoration when they did the special editions of them. The only difference is the commentary tracks are different. But I do not see that happening because the box set would be 8 seasons, and that would be pretty hefty. I mean, you can go in Fry's today and buy all of them, bundled up with strapping to keep all 80 DVDs together. And there will be, by the time they release, there'll be roughly 140 DVDs. So I don't see them doing a conversion now. They are going to start doing Blu-rays.
It's about to come. I thought Blu-ray would be great for the Tom Baker era.
They're not doing none of the old episodes can even process to that.
I don't even understand why you would take something like that and even bother with Blu-ray, because you're not going to step it up anymore unless you alter it.
But basically what they've said is the classic series will not go to Blu-ray. I know they're going to redo the first of the 5 specials to Blu-ray because it wasn't shot in high def like the other 4 were. That's the only one I know of besides Torchwood that's in Blu-ray. I have not heard, and I am hoping I never see the series go to Blu-ray. Other than Series 5 will be Blu-ray.
Torchwood would make sense to go to Blu-ray since they shot it in HD.
Yes.
But did they ever? Are they even shooting any of the Doctor in HD?
The Series 1 through 4 was specifically deliberately not shot in high def. Davies wouldn't put up with it, because his view on it was a waste of money. That the reality was there wasn't that much more you were going to get out of the extra cost. That all it would do was drive the cost of production up, and since he was desperate to get the series back online, it made sense, especially with the Eccleston year, to not do anything that would run the production cost any higher than they were. The only reason we got Doctor Who back was because BBC was pissed off at the United States, because they wanted something to compete with the U.S. market, and they basically had nothing. And of course, the various groups had been pushing Doctor Who for 15 years, finally sold to BBC, hey, why don't we try it? We've got perfectly good franchises we can use, why don't we reshoot some of them? And that's why you have Doctor Who, that's why you're going to get Survivor. which is a Terry Nation series from about the late 70s, early 80s. But that's where they came. Why they're coming out is because of the fact that the BBC wanted something to compete with Hollywood.
How long was Doctor Who in the dark?
It was in the dark for almost 16 plus years.
16 years?
Yes.
After Tom Baker?
After Sylvester McCoy. Sylvester McCoy was the last Doctor that aired in the BBC until Eccleston.
92 was what happened was, in fact, the last episode filmed is actually Enlightenment. The last one shown is Survivor. And those episodes pretty much define why the series went out. Enlightenment's a good story, but Survivor is not. And the problem became, and the reason why the BBC dumped it was because the stories became inside jokes, which you can definitely see if you've ever seen Greatest Show in the Galaxy. The three people they're presenting to, that's the board of the BBC. So there's a whole lot of just flat jokes throughout. The stories were getting worse and worse. They were also fighting off complaints about how violent the stories were. And doing Dragonfire was probably the icing on the cake when you basically do the melting scene from Indiana Jones in a children's TV series. The series was targeted for 7 to 8 originally. Then they moved it out to 8 to 9, and well, that didn't go over well for 8 to 9 because they really had an organization that was fighting tooth and nail in this, through from the Tom Baker era all the way to the end in the 80s. I mean, there was
It was originally set up as a history show. And
That would make sense.
Yes. These are the original stories right here. These are the stories that started it all. And this one is the Doctor traveling back and teaching cavemen fire. Then, of course, we get Terry Nations jumping on the series with the Daleks, when he pretty much changes the series from, okay,
we're teaching history.
We're teaching history to, since he knew it was a science fiction series, he knew he could probably get away with it. But even he didn't realize what he was going to get. That's actually from the main panel. But he realized what he was going to do. He hadn't written all of it at the time. And so the first time the Daleks were introduced, all you have is a round sphere that's looking out of their eye stalk. That's all you see. And they went from, a couple thousand viewers to everybody's watching.
And one of the episodes from the Sylvester McCoy era, Remembrance of the Daleks, is a direct throwback to Unearthly Child. It literally goes back to the beginning.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it shows. Oh, interesting piece of trivia. I know you know this. The original episode, pilot episode of Doctor Who, was delayed for 2 hours.
It was actually almost never shown.
Yeah, it was almost never shown.
Do you know why? Do you want to take a guess? Okay, the date is November '63. You want to guess what happened that day?
Kennedy's assassination.
Exactly what did it. If it hadn't been for the coverage of the Kennedy assassination, Doctor Who would have never sold. Because the original pilot has a mistake in it, which would have limited the series forever. Originally, We Come From Your Future, the reference, in fact, there's actually a reference to it with, as well with John Barrowman as the time agent. In the original pilot, the Doctor was human from the 51st century. Actually, from the 49th to 50th century. They occasionally go back to it every so often. And hence, if you've seen the Tales of Wen Chiang, that's where that comes from as well. So when they reshot the pilot, they looked at the pilot afterwards. It didn't really air. It's almost nobody saw it because everybody was busy with real news coverage for some unknown reason. And so they went back and looked at the pilot and called it a new one. And when they called the new one up, the only change would come from somewhere else. And strangely enough, the unaired pilot exists. The other episodes do not. Marco Polo